Hey guys, tonight we're sinking into the swamps of ancient North Africa, and you're about to hatch into the strangest dinosaur life imaginable. The reeds are taller than houses, the mud reeks of decay, and dragonflies the size of sparrows skim the air like slow helicopters. But down here, under a thin crust of sand and twigs, you're trapped in a fragile egg. Your heart rattles against the shell, and the sunlight above feels like both a promise and a threat. You probably won't survive this, but let's try. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The egg splits with a wet crack, and you shove your snout out first. Warm, humid air rushes in, thick with the smell of wet plants and old fish. The swamp doesn't exactly smell like new life. It smells more like a public aquarium left open for a week. Your sail, a faint little ridge along your back, sticks to your skin like damp laundry. It's not intimidating yet. It's more like a neon kick-me sign that every predator in the Cretaceous Delta would happily oblige. You stumble into the reed's legs, trembling like an unsteady puppy. Every blade towers over you, glistening with dew, dripping into the mud. To your left, something splashes. To your right, bubbles rise and then vanish. The swamp is alive in ways you don't want to learn too quickly. Being born here is like waking up in a survival game where the tutorial mode was skipped. The air hums with cicadas, frogs croak, deep bass notes, and the surface of the water ripples as if mocking you. Somewhere nearby, your siblings are crawling out to squeaking faintly. For a brief moment, you think maybe sticking together will make you safer. And then you remember in this place, even family is competition. Your sail catches a sliver of morning sun, turning it into a pale orange stripe. You don't realize it yet, but this stripe is basically a beacon. If you were a human baby, it's like leaving the hospital in a glow-in-the-dark onesie during hunting season. Congratulations, you're alive, but you're also advertising it. The mud squelches beneath your toes, a texture halfway between wet clay and pudding. Every step leaves behind a print that instantly fills with brown water. You wade forward, head bobbing as your nostrils flare at the unfamiliar scents. Rotting plants, stagnant water, and something sharp like blood carried on the wind. You freeze. That metallic tang means something nearby is already dead, which usually means something bigger did the killing. The reeds sway, though there's no breeze. You watch the stalks bend the surface of the water bulge, and then a pair of ridged eyes appear just above the mud. A crocodile, not the modern 6-foot kind, but an ancient monster stretching nearly 20 feet, slides silently toward the shoreline. Its scales glisten, its jaws gape just slightly, as though smiling at the free buffet of newborn dinosaurs. You press yourself flat against the mud, trembling, your sail quivering like a wet flag. The croc inches closer, pushing water aside with slow waves. You can feel the vibrations through the mud before it even breaks the surface. Your siblings scatter in every direction, their tiny chirps shrill, desperate. One vanishes with a snap, swallowed whole in less than a second. The sound is muffled, more like a wet clap than the cinematic crunch you might imagine. And then there's silence, except for your own heart hammering in your chest. You're alive barely. In the strange math of this swamp, survival is less about skill and more about being the sibling who didn't zig the wrong way. Already, you've learned a rule that will define your life. Everything here is hungry, and hesitation is a death sentence. The sun climbs higher, and the swamp shifts with it. Steam rises from the black water, turning the air into a sticky blanket. Gnats swarm around your nostrils. Your sail dries enough to stiffen, though it still looks pathetic compared to the proud fins of adults. You try to shake it instinct, telling you it's supposed to make you look intimidating. Instead, it just wobbles like a broken umbrella in the wind. Still, you push forward. The mud squishes between your toes, clinging until each step feels like lifting a weight twice your size. You're thirsty, but drinking from the river feels like volunteering to be dessert. Instead, you lick dew off the reeds, each drop sharp and sweet, a small mercy in the swamp's unending hostility. Something rustles in the ferns ahead. You freeze again, head tilting like a bird. Out steps a lungfish flopping awkwardly, dragged out of the water by chance. Its gills heave, its body twisting desperately. Dinner, or at least it could be. You pounce, or more accurately, you trip forward and land on it belly first. The lungfish wriggles free, slides back into the water, and is gone. Your stomach growls loud enough to echo. First hunt failed, but hunger makes you stubborn. You jab your snout into the shallows, snapping at anything that moves. Mostly you catch weeds, a few unlucky insects, and once your own tail. By noon you've managed to gulp down half a frog. It tastes like damp leather, but the ache in your belly softens just slightly. Above, pterosaurs wheel in slow arcs. They're not giants, more like hawks, but they hunt with precision. One dives, wings folded, tight claws extended. You duck instinctively, splashing into the mud. Your sail flashes again, bright against the dark water. The hunter swerves, missing you by inches, and carries away a sibling instead. You rise dripping, plastered with mud, your tiny teeth chattering. That neon ridge is going to get you killed someday, and you know it. Afternoon drags on. The swamp is louder now, frogs bellowing, insects, buzzing, fish splashing. Heat presses against you, heavy as stone. You crawl beneath a fallen log, the bark rough against your skin, and rest in the shade. For a moment, you almost feel safe. Then you hear it, footsteps, heavy and deliberate. The ground trembles with each stride. A shadow passes across the reeds, blotting out the sun. It's no crocodile this time. It's something taller, heavier, with claws that leave gouges in the mud. You peek out and see a young Dinosaur stalking the bank, jaws lined with teeth longer than your entire head. It pauses, nostrils flaring, catching the scent of hatchling. Your sail trembles like a flag in surrender. You bite down on your fear, sink deeper into the mud, and pray the wind shifts. It does. The predator's head jerks away, distracted by some other scent, and it moves on each step, shaking droplets from the leaves. The reeds settle and silence trickles back in. You don't breathe for a long time, not until the swamp itself exhales with you. By evening, your legs ache, your belly growls, and your skin stings with insect bites. The sky bleeds orange, reflecting in ripples across the black water. You wade to the edge of a sandbar and collapse, half in the water, half out. Your sail catches the last of the light, glowing faintly, a beacon in the dusk. Somewhere deep inside, instinct whispers that one day this sail will mean power. For now, it only means vulnerability. The night chorus begins. Frogs, insects, unseen things that croak and wail in tones too low for comfort. You tuck yourself into the reeds, mud thick around your belly, and close your eyes. But sleep doesn't come easy. The swamp shifts even in darkness. Every splash jolts you awake, every rustle makes you flinch. When you finally drift off, it's with the bitter understanding that survival isn't about thriving. It's about being overlooked. You might think this sounds bleak, but that's the secret of Spinosaurus. Strange or not awkward, or not, this swamp will forge you into something the world has never seen before. You're a reptile caught between two worlds, too clumsy for land, too slow for water, and yet destined to dominate both. And so under the watch of 1,000 hungry eyes, your first day ends. Tomorrow will be harder. Tomorrow you'll need to eat, fight, and run faster than you ever thought possible. But tonight, as you sink into mud that feels almost like a blanket, you've survived the beginning, and in the Cretaceous Delta, that's already a miracle. Morning in the swamp feels less like a new beginning and more like a continuation of yesterday's nightmare. Mist rises from the water in thick curtains, turning every shape into a ghost. You stretch your legs, still wobbly, and your tiny sail flickers above your spine like a bedraggled flag. It doesn't look impressive. It looks like you've taped a slice of melon to your back and hoped predators would take you seriously. The reeds loom high, their stalks swaying gently with the current. Each one is slick with dew, and the sunlight paints them in shades of gold and green. To you, they're skyscrapers. You weave between them, your body brushing against their damp sides, your sail leaving faint streaks of water. Every step feels tentative, like you're walking across a stage with the spotlight stuck on you. The truth is, you are. That little sail is a beacon screaming your presence to anything that can smell or see. A dragonfly buzzes past its wings, catching the light like glass. You snap at it, jaw clapping shut on empty air. The insect zips upward out of reach as though mocking your clumsy strike. Your stomach growls again, echoing through your ribs. Hunger is relentless here. You've been alive for just over a day, and already it feels like survival is nothing more than sprinting from one snack to the next. Beneath the surface of the water, shapes move. Fish, sleek and glimmering, dart in tight schools. They look tantalizing, shimmering like living coins, scattered across the muddy floor. You crouch, nose dipping just above the ripples, trying to imitate your mother's hunting style, even though you've only seen glimpses of it. Your snout touches the water, a faint shiver running through your jaw. The fish scatter instantly, vanishing into the weeds. Another failed attempt. The swamp doesn't forgive amateurs. A splash erupts nearby, violent and sudden. You freeze. A crocodile bursts upward, jaws snapping shut around one of your siblings. The sound is dull but final, like a book slamming closed. Muddy water rains down as the predator sinks back beneath the surface. Your siblings' chirps vanish into silence. You swallow hard, your sail quivering uncontrollably. Every failure here is punished quickly, brutally, and yet despite everything you push forward. Instinct whispers that growth is your only shield. You stumble through the reeds, pausing to lick dew again. The drops taste faintly metallic, but they soothe your throat. Around you, insects buzz, frogs croak, and birds scream overhead. The swamp is never silent, never still. It's a constant hum of hunger. By midday, the sun burns hot enough to turn the mud into a sticky trap. Your feet sink deeper with every step, sucking sounds marking your trail. The air grows heavier, filled with the smell of rot and algae. Your sail heats up, skin prickling as though you've been left under a magnifying glass. You flop down beside a fallen branch, panting. Something rustles above you. You glance up, squinting. A pterosaur perches on the branch, its wings folded neatly against its body. Its eyes glint sharp and calculating. For a moment, the two of you simply stare at each other. Then, with terrifying speed, it lunges. You squeal and roll aside, mud splashing as its claws rake the ground where you'd been. The pterosaur hisses, frustrated, before lifting off again. Its wings beat the air, sending ripples across the water as it vanishes into the haze. You lie trembling in the mud, heart hammering. That was too close. You imagine what you must look like to it, a walking snack wrapped in a ridiculous little flag. Not exactly the stuff of nightmares unless the nightmare belongs to you. Afternoon stretches on, oppressive and heavy. The swamp feels like it's leaning in on you, pressing with heat, buzzing with insects, dripping with menace. You trudge toward a patch of shade, legs dragging. There, beneath the reeds, you collapse. The mud seeps cool against your belly, a rare comfort. Your eyes flutter shut, exhaustion pulling at you. But the swamp never allows true rest. A ripple breaks the surface nearby. You lift your head, groggily watching as concentric circles widen across the water. Something is moving below something big. Your sail stiffens, instinctively useless but automatic. The water bulges, reeds bending outward, and then a massive lungfish erupts from the shallows. It thrashes wildly, scales flashing in the sun. Instinct takes over. You pounce clumsily, jaws snapping. Miraculously, your teeth clamp down on its slippery body. The fish wriggles violently, nearly twisting free, but you bite harder. Mud splashes, water sprays, and at last the thrashing stills. Your first real meal. You tear into it, awkwardly, chunks of soft flesh filling your belly. The taste is strong, earthy, faintly metallic, but it's food and it's yours. Warmth spreads through you, the ache in your gut softening. For the first time since hatching, you feel something almost like triumph. But victory in the swamp is never absolute. A shadow looms overhead. You glance up, throat tightening. Another pterosaur, drawn by the commotion, circles lazily above. Its eyes fix on you, hungry. You hiss weakly, spreading your tiny arms in a gesture of defiance. It's laughable, really, like a toddler trying to scare off a hawk. The pterosaur swoops. You clutch what's left of your fish and dart beneath the reeds. The branches whip against your face, the mud slows your steps, but somehow you slip into the shadows before the predator can strike. It screeches in frustration, then wheels away. You collapse panting fish clamped stubbornly in your jaws. Survival is ugly, but you've earned another few hours. As evening falls, the swamp changes again. The air cools, shadows lengthen, and the reeds rustle with unseen movements. Your sail glows faintly in the dim light, a pale banner against the darkness. It makes you an easy target, yes, but it also makes you strange different. One day, that difference might matter. For now, it only means more danger. Night settles in, thick and humming. You curl into the mud belly, full body trembling from the day's trials. Around you, frogs croak, insects sing, and distant splashes echo like drum beats. You close your eyes exhausted, but the swamp whispers that sleep is always a gamble. You might think hiding under reeds is safe, but here safety is an illusion. Tomorrow the crocs will still patrol, the pterosaurs will still dive, and your sail will still betray you. But tonight you've eaten. Tonight you've survived. And in the Cretaceous Delta, that's the closest thing to victory you'll ever get. Dawn breaks again, though. In the swamp, dawn feels more like the lights flickering in a dingy basement than a fresh new day. Mist coils along the water's surface, reeds drip with condensation, and the air already smells of rot. You stretch your stiff legs, your sail quivering with the chill. Somewhere nearby, frogs croak their morning announcements loud and off-key like a prehistoric alarm clock no one can snooze. You creep from your muddy nest belly, low eyes darting across the water. The swamp seems calm, but you've learned fast calm here just means predators are holding their breath. You pad forward carefully, toes sinking into wet ground. The mud bubbles faintly as you pass, releasing the sharp tang of sulfur as if the earth itself wants to remind you how temporary life is. Then a ripple. At first it's small, almost innocent, but then another follows, wider, darker. The reeds shiver without wind. Your nostrils flare instinctively, catching a stench both sour and meaty. That smell is survival's red flag. Crocodiles are near. You freeze, breath caught in your throat. The water bulges and two ridged eyes break the surface, gleaming like wet stones. A snout follows, long and toothy, gliding silently toward the bank. This predator isn't rushing. It doesn't need to. It knows the swamp is its ally. It knows patience always wins. Your siblings aren't as cautious. Two of them wade too close to the shallows, chirping nervously. They think the reeds will protect them, but the reeds are liars. Without warning, the water explodes. Jaws snap shut around one sibling, lifting it high before yanking it below. The second hatchling squeals and bolts for cover, only to be met by another strike, another crocodile waiting perfectly still, now perfectly lethal. The swamp erupts in chaos. Chirp splashes the wet crack of bone. You flatten against the mud, tiny heart rattling in your chest. The world narrows to a single thought: stay invisible. Every instinct screams to move, to run, but your body obeys the lesson of yesterday. Hesitation is death, but so is panic. You lie still, mud cooling your belly, your sail trembling like a leaf. The crocodiles don't stop with one. They linger, circling, snapping, taking turns. It's spawn camping at its most brutal, predators exploiting the hatchling respawn point. You're living in a video game where the devs forgot to add a safe zone, and there's no moderator to complain to. One of the crocs finally surfaces fully. Its body is massive, armored with scales that gleam like wet stone. Mud drips from its jaw as it drags itself onto the bank. Its weight presses deep tracks into the earth, and each step sends vibrations up your legs. It flops down just feet away, maw half open as though daring you to move. Its eyes roll lazily toward you. For one awful moment, you swear it knows exactly where you are. Then luck. A splash farther upriver. A fish. Another hatchling. The croc lifts its head, muscles rippling. It turns distracted, sliding back into the water with surprising grace. You exhale for the first time in what feels like forever, your ribs aching. Survival once again has come down to being the least interesting option on the menu. Still, you can't stay frozen forever. Hunger gnaws at your gut and thirst dries your throat. You inch forward through the reeds each step, deliberate, each rustle sounding like thunder in your ears. You pause often, scanning the water, waiting for ripples. The swamp is quiet again, but you know better than to trust it. Eventually, you reach a patch of shallows. Tiny fish flicker just beneath the surface, their silver scales catching the morning light. Your belly growls louder than your courage. You lower your snout holding still, this time patient. A school of fish drifts closer, mistaking your shadow for another reed. In one swift motion, you lunge. Mud sprays, water churns, and for once your teeth find purchase. You clamp down on a wriggling body, jerking your head to fling it onto the bank. It flops wildly, but you pounce, pinning it beneath your claws. Triumph surges through you, warm and dizzy. Breakfast at last. The flesh is soft, oily, and a little slimy, but it fills your belly and restores some strength. For a fleeting moment, you feel less like prey and more like a predator. Of course, the swamp notices. It always notices. A ripple spreads across the shallows. Another pair of ridged eyes rises closer this time. Your throat tightens. The fish in your jaws suddenly feels like stolen treasure. You gulp it down in two frantic bites, the bones scraping your throat, and stagger backward into the reeds. The crocodile lunges, jaws snapping shut where you'd stood seconds ago. Water erupts, reeds bend violently. Mud splatters your face as you dive deeper into cover, heart racing. The croc thrashes, then settles, lurking once again. You press deeper into the shadows, your body shaking. That narrow escape has drained what little energy the fish gave you. By midday, the heat becomes unbearable. The swamp turns into a furnace and your sail bakes under the sun. You crouch beneath a fallen log, panting, every breath thick with the smell of algae and decay. Insects buzz incessantly, their wings brushing your skin. You swat weakly, too exhausted to care. Your eyelids droop, but you fight sleep. The crocs are still out there, still waiting. Eventually, dusk arrives. The swamp glows orange shadows stretching long. You step cautiously onto firmer ground, your legs aching, your sail glowing faintly in the fading light. The water shimmers deceptively peaceful. You know better now. Peace here is just camouflage. You settle into the reeds, curling tightly, mud coating your body like armor. The sounds of the swamp grow louder in the night, the croaks, the splashes, the endless hum of insects. You close your eyes, trembling, but you've made it through another day. The crocodiles may own the swamp, but you've slipped through their jaws for now. You might think this means you're clever, but don't flatter yourself. Survival here is just being lucky enough not to be first in line. And in the Cretaceous Delta, luck runs out fast. The swamp at sunrise looks deceptively calm, as if the night's chaos has been erased. Mist lingers like smoke above the water, turning the horizon into a dream you can't quite trust. You step carefully from the reeds, your body stiff, your sail damp with dew. The mud squelches beneath your feet, cool and sticky, but your stomach reminds you quickly that dreams don't matter. Breakfast does. The surface of the river is alive with flickers of silver. Fish, hundreds of them, dart just below the waterline, their scales flashing in the new sun. They look delicious, or at least edible, which is good enough. Your belly growls so loudly it might as well be a dinner bell. Unfortunately, in this swamp, every dinner bell summons more than one diner. You crouch, nose hovering just above the ripples. The fish shift and swirl, a living storm of silver coins. You lunge. Water splashes, mud flies, and your jaws clap shut on nothing. The fish vanish in an instant, leaving only ripples mocking your effort. You stumble half-submerged, coughing as swamp water floods your nostrils. It burns with a taste halfway between rotten leaves and expired soup. You shake your head, droplets spraying, and try again. This time you press lower, sliding your snout into the shallows. You hold still, patient. The fish drift closer. Slowly, carefully, you strike. For one triumphant second, you feel the slippery body in your teeth. Then slip. The fish squirms free, launching itself back into the water. You gape in disbelief, jaw still dripping. Catching fish, it seems, is less like hunting and more like trying to grab a wet bar of soap in the shower. Your belly growls again, unimpressed with excuses. You try over and over, each attempt ending in splashes, empty jaws, and frustration. Once you nearly swallow a mouthful of weeds. Another time you lunge so hard you tumble headfirst into the shallows, coming up with mud plastered across your face. If the swamp had an audience, they'd be laughing. Hours past the sun rising higher, your patience thinning. Your sail grows hot under the glare, its skin prickling as though mocking you for failing so spectacularly. You collapse onto the bank, panting, mud dripping from your snout. Hunger claws at your insides, sharper than any predator's teeth. Then movement. A shadow drifts below the surface, slow, oblivious. A lungfish. Larger than the rest, sluggish, practically begging to be caught. You slide closer, careful this time. You angle your snout just right, eyes narrowing. The fish lingers near the reeds, its tail flicking lazily. You lunge with all your strength. Water erupts, your teeth sink deep, and this time it sticks. The fish thrashes, body wriggling violently, but you hold on, jaws clamped like a vice. You stagger onto the bank, dragging it with you. Mud and water spray as you slam it down, claws pinning its body. At last, victory. You tear into the flesh greedily, chunks of oily meat sliding down your throat. The taste is strong, earthy, not pleasant, but to your belly it's a miracle. Warmth floods through you, strength filling your limbs. You flop onto your side, panting, belly swollen. For the first time in days, you feel almost comfortable. Almost. Because of course the swamp doesn't allow victories without consequences. The water ripples again. You glance up, your heart seizing. A crocodile's eyes break the surface, gleaming coldly. Drawn by the thrashing, it slides closer, jaws parting in silent threat. You hiss instinctively, spreading your arm sail, quivering like a pathetic flag. The croc doesn't hesitate. It surges forward, water exploding around its snout. You abandon what's left of your fish and sprint for the reeds. Mud sprays your legs, pumping wildly, your tail dragging. The croc crashes onto the bank behind you, jaws snapping shut just shy of your tail. The sound echoes like a door slamming on your spine. You dive into the reeds' branches, whipping your face heart thundering. The predator thrashes at the edge, then sinks back into the water, leaving you trembling victorious only by default. By midday, the swamp bakes under the sun. Steam rises, insects swarm, and every breath feels like drinking hot soup. You collapse beneath a fallen log, panting. Your belly is still half full, though the victory feels bitter. Catching fish is hard enough. Keeping them is nearly impossible. In this swamp, success always comes with a fine print that says expires immediately. As the afternoon drags on, you try again. This time you attempt a new strategy. You crouch by the water sail, low, waiting. You let the fish drift close, then swipe with your snout, sideways instead of diving headfirst. To your surprise, it works. A small fish flops onto the bank and you snatch it up quickly. A minor win, but a win. You repeat the trick again and again, building a rhythm. It's not glamorous, but it fills your belly. The swamp, however, notices patterns. A shadow sweeps overhead. You glance up, squinting against the glare. A pterosaur circles wings, stretched wide eyes sharp. It dives, suddenly claws extended. You dart sideways just as it rakes the water, splashing violently. The predator screeches, rising again, circling for another strike. You retreat deeper into the reeds, clutching your meager catch, your sail, trembling. Once again, you're reminded food makes you visible and visibility makes you prey. Evening settles the swamp, painted in shades of gold and red. The fish retreat to deeper waters and the air fills with the chorus of frogs. You curl into the mud, exhausted, belly aching, but not empty. That's the closest thing to victory you can expect here. You might think catching fish should be easy for a creature with a crocodile snout and a sail like a billboard. But in practice, it's clumsy, humiliating, and dangerous. Still, each slippery soap bar that doesn't escape builds your strength. And strength is the only currency the swamp respects. Tomorrow, the fish will still be fast, the crocodile still lurking, and the pterosaur still circling. But tonight, for a brief moment, you're not starving. And in the Cretaceous Delta that's worth celebrating quietly in the mud while pretending you're invisible. The swamp never truly sleeps, but dawn makes it look calmer than it is. Mist drapes the water like a shroud. The reeds sway gently, and for a moment you trick yourself into thinking, maybe today will be easier. It won't, because beneath that glassy surface, shadows move long, dark, and heavy. You step carefully onto a patch of mud belly still groaning from last night's half-digested fish. The ground feels spongy, sucking at your toes. You pause, sniffing the air. The scent of algae is thick, but there's something else musky sour, a predator's calling card. Crocodiles. Not the hatchling snacking kind you've already seen. Bigger. A ripple breaks the stillness. Slowly, almost lazily, a ridged back slides through the water. Then another. And another. The swamp reveals its hierarchy in silence, a group of giants, each one longer than a school bus, drifting just beneath the surface. These are the elder crocodiles, the undisputed rulers of the river. You flatten instinctively, pressing yourself into the mud. Your tiny sail quivers, useless as ever. Against these monsters, you are little more than a moving snack. They don't even need to rush. One lazy lunge, one casual snap of jaws, and you'd vanish like a frog in a storm drain. One of your siblings isn't as cautious. It steps too close to the bank, chirping nervously. The water erupts. A crocodile bursts upward, jaws gaping, body twisting with terrifying force. Your sibling disappears in a single motion, swallowed whole. The water settles almost instantly, ripples spreading as if nothing happened. The swamp has perfected the art of erasure. You lie trembling, breath shallow, every instinct screaming to stay still. The giant croc drifts closer, eyes like polished stones watching. Its body glides silently effortless for something so massive. You can feel the weight of its presence pressing down on you, heavier than the swamp's humidity. Eventually it sinks again, vanishing beneath the water. The surface returns to glass. But you know better now. Still water doesn't mean safety. It means something larger than imagination is holding its breath below. Hunger gnaws at you, but your body argues with your brain. Is a mouthful of fish worth risking jaws longer than your body? The answer should be no, but your stomach disagrees. You creep toward the reeds, eyes darting. Small fish dart in the shallows, glinting like coins. You lunge, snapping one in your jaws. The taste is sharp, oily, satisfying. A ripple. Closer this time. You freeze fish still twitching in your mouth. The water bulges, reeds bending outward. A crocodile's snout breaks the surface, teeth gleaming, eyes locked on you. Panic takes over. You drop the fish and bolt into the reeds, mud splashing behind you. The croc lunges, water exploding as it snaps where you stood. You dive deeper into cover branches, whipping your sail. Your heart slams against your ribs. Behind you, the predator thrashes, then sinks back into the water, leaving only silence in your ragged breathing. By midday, the sun bakes the swamp, turning the air into soup. You collapse beneath a fallen log, panting. Your belly is empty again, your body trembling with fatigue. Hunger is relentless, but so is fear. Every attempt at food feels like rolling dice with death. The afternoon brings no relief. Shadows drift constantly beneath the surface, always watching, always waiting. You begin to understand why your kind evolved strange habits, why hunting fish requires patience bordering on madness, why survival feels like balancing on a knife's edge. You're neither crocodile nor land predator. You're something in between, and in this swamp in between is the most dangerous place to be. As evening falls, the swamp glows with fading light. The giant crocs still linger, their backs breaking the surface like dark islands. You crouch in the reeds, belly gnawing, eyes heavy. The fish have vanished into deeper waters, leaving you with nothing but the echo of your growling stomach. You curl into the mud, trembling, trying to sleep. The sounds of the swamp rise around you, frogs croaking, insects, buzzing, unseen creatures splashing. The crocodiles remain silent, their patience infinite. You close your eyes, knowing tomorrow will bring the same shadows, the same jaws, the same lesson. You might think the swamp is cruel, but cruelty implies intent. Here there is none. There's only hunger. The crocodiles are shadows cast by the river itself, reminders that in this world, survival isn't about fairness, it's about not being noticed. And tonight you've managed that much. The swamp has taught you one thing, very clearly: the water belongs to the crocodiles. Every ripple hides jaws, every splash could be a death sentence. So one evening, when your legs ache from crouching by the reeds and your belly groans with hunger, instinct pushes you toward a dangerous thought. Maybe land will be safer. The riverbank rises in a slope of mud and tangled roots. You climb slowly, claws scraping, tail dragging, breath shallow. Behind you, the water ripples shadows, sliding just beneath the surface. The crocs follow your movements like spectators watching an actor leave the stage. They won't chase you onto land, but you can feel their eyes. The ground under your feet changes from sludge to firmer soil. Dry leaves crunch faintly, unfamiliar and brittle. The air smells different here, sharper with hints of resin, and wildflowers hiding beneath the musk of decay. For the first time in days, your belly unclenches slightly. Maybe this side of the swamp is a reprieve. You stumble deeper into the forest fringe. Towering trees block out most of the sun, their trunks thick and gnarled. Shafts of light cut through in slanted beams, illuminating dust and pollen like floating sparks. The ground is uneven, littered with branches and stones. You clamber awkwardly, your sail brushing against vines that snag and pull. It's less like walking through a safe haven and more like tripping through a messy living room where every piece of furniture is trying to kill you. A rustle nearby makes your heart spike. You crouch, low head jerking toward the sound. From the underbrush, a lizard darts out, scales shimmering. You pounce clumsily, jaws snapping. This time, luck holds you. Catch it. The creature wriggles briefly, then falls limp. Warmth spreads through your belly as you gulp it down whole. For the first time since hatching, land has given you a victory without immediate disaster. But the victory is short-lived. A low rumble vibrates the air so deep you feel it more than hear it. The ground itself trembles faintly. Leaves shiver. You freeze, pressing against the earth. From between the trees, a shape emerges. Massive legs, clawed feet, jaws lined with serrated teeth, an adolescent carcharodontosaur prowling the edge of the swamp. Its eyes sweep the shadows, nostrils flaring. You flatten instinctively, sail quivering. On land, you're not top predator. You're barely an appetizer. The giant theropod sniffs the airtail, swaying with casual menace. It steps closer, each footfall sinking deep into the soil. You hold still, praying the scent of mud clinging to your body masks you. The predator pauses, head turning sharply. For one breathless moment, its gaze locks with yours. Then luck intervenes. A rustle in the distance draws its attention. It swings its head, snorts, and lumbers away, crashing through trees as if they were twigs. You exhale shakily, body trembling. Land may not have crocodiles, but it has monsters just as terrifying. The rest of the afternoon passes in uneasy exploration. You pick at insects, chase small lizards, and nibble at fallen eggs you're not brave enough to identify. Each mouthful soothes your hunger, but every noise in the forest keeps your nerves taut. Branches crack overhead, shadows dart across the ground, and the wind carries the musk of predators through the trees. By sunset, the forest transforms again. Light slants low, painting the trunks in shades of fire. The air cools, carrying with it the hum of nocturnal insects. You huddle beneath a tangle of roots, mud caked across your body for camouflage. But the night chorus isn't soothing, it's a warning. On land, darkness doesn't hide you, it hides everything else. A rustle wakes you in the night. You blink groggily, then stiffen. Two glowing eyes peer through the shadows. They move low, close to the ground, silent. A raptor, small but lethal, slips into the clearing. Its feathers shimmer faintly in the moonlight, claws glinting. You hold your breath, muscles tight. The raptor prowls closer, sniffing. Its head tilts, eyes narrowing. You shift slightly, sail twitching. The faint movement betrays you. The predator hisses, then lunges. You scramble sideways, mud spraying. Its claws slash where you'd been tearing into the earth. You dash through the underbrush, heart-racing branches whipping your face. The raptor gives chase, feet pounding behind you. In desperation, you bolt back toward the swamp. The smell of stagnant water fills your nostrils, reeds parting before you. You splash into the shallows, mud sucking at your feet. The raptor skids to a halt at the edge, hissing. It paces briefly, glaring, then retreats into the trees. You collapse in the reeds, gasping, your body trembling. The crocodiles lurk nearby, but even their silent shadows feel safer than claws at your back. You realize now land isn't safer. It's just a different brand of lethal. In the swamp, you're hunted by jaws. On land, you're hunted by claws. As dawn approaches, the swamp hums with life again. You lie in the mud belly, gnawing, body exhausted. Safety isn't real, not in water, not on land, but you're still breathing. And in this brutal balance between predators and prey, breath itself is victory. You might think switching environments would give you an edge, but the truth is harsh. Spinosaurus belongs to neither world and both demand a toll. You're learning the hard way that strangeness doesn't equal safety, it just means more ways to almost die. Morning drips slowly into the swamp light, filtering through the reeds like liquid gold. You drag yourself from the mud, every limb aching. Last night's chase still rattles in your bones, the raptors hiss, the crash of branches, the sting of panic in your throat. You survived, but just barely. As you shake off the mud clinging to your sides, your sail catches the rising sun. It glows like a torch, a beacon, a betrayal. The sail was never meant to be subtle. Even as a hatchling, it rises above your back, like a flag announcing your position. Against the swamp's muted greens and browns, it shines too brightly, like someone wearing a neon vest to a game of hide-and-seek. You hunch lower, trying to press it flat against the reeds, but it's no use. It waves with every movement as if taunting you. Look here, predators, free snack incoming. You creep toward the shallows belly low, hoping to catch fish before the crocs stir. The water is glassy, rippling faintly with morning currents. Schools of silver dart beneath the surface, flashing in synchronized arcs. You crouch patient this time, your snout dipping just above the ripples. Then movement overhead. A shadow passes. You glance up. A pterosaur wheels above its eyes, scanning wings, casting wide circles across the swamp. Your sail gleams in the sunlight, a glowing stripe against the dark mud. The predator notices. It tips its wings, adjusting course, and dives. You lunge sideways as claws rake the surface where you stood. The pterosaur screeches frustrated, then banks sharply for another pass. You dash into the reeds, heart-pounding sail quivering. The predator swoops again, brushing the tops of the stalks, but you vanish beneath cover. After a few tense moments, it wheels away, searching for easier prey. You collapse in the mud, panting. The lesson is sharp. Your sail isn't camouflage. It's a spotlight. And spotlights draw attention you don't want. Later that afternoon, the sun climbs higher, baking the swamp into a humid oven. Your sail absorbs the heat, warming your blood. It's useful like a solar panel strapped to your back, but it cuts both ways. As the heat builds, you grow sluggish, your breath's heavy. Predators don't have to find you by sight. They can smell your exhaustion. You stumble onto a sandbar belly, growling eyes scanning the water. A fish flits by, then another. You crouch, lunging clumsily. This time luck holds, you catch one, its slippery body thrashing in your jaws. Triumph sparks briefly, but then ripples. A crocodile surges from below, jaws gaping. You jerk backward, fish still clamped between your teeth. The croc snaps shut on empty air, then slides back into the depths. You drop the fish in panic, scrambling into the reeds. Mud sprays behind you as the water churns. The predator vanishes, leaving only silence. Your sail trembles violently, its orange glow mocking your attempt at invisibility. By evening, the swamp glows red with sunset. Insects swarm the air, their hum constant. You huddle beneath a fallen log body pressed low, but your sail juts upward like a flagpole. A sibling nearby chirps weakly, hidden better its back, blending into the reeds. You envy it. Without the sail, hiding would be simple. But no, your body insists on advertising your position like a neon sign. Night falls. The swamp cools, shadows thickening. You curl into the mud belly, gnawing eyes heavy, but sleep won't come. The sail pressed against the reeds twitches with every breeze. It catches the moonlight glowing faintly, daring predators to notice. You lie awake trembling, listening to the croaks, the splashes, the whispers of movement. Every rustle could be jaws. Every ripple could be claws. At some point, exhaustion wins. You drift into uneasy sleep. Dreams blur pterosaurs circling crocodiles, snapping raptors lunging. Through it all, your sail shines glowing brighter than the sun. You wake with a start, heart-hammering mud, clinging to your sides. The swamp hums quietly as if mocking you. By morning, the truth settles in. Your sail is both weapon and weakness, advantage and liability. It heats your blood, intimidates rivals, signals mates. But for now, as a fragile juvenile, it does only one thing: betrays you. You might think a sail makes you special. And it does. But special in this swamp doesn't mean celebrated. It means noticed. And being noticed is the fastest way to disappear. The river at dawn looks almost inviting. The mist has lifted, the surface gleams gold, and the reeds sway lazily with the current. But if the swamp has taught you anything, it's that beauty here is camouflage. Beneath that glittering water lurk creatures so massive they make crocodiles look like pond toys. You ease down the muddy slope, belly low, nostrils twitching. Your sail glows faintly in the morning sun, announcing you like a lighthouse that no ship actually wanted to find. Hunger gnaws at you again, so you creep toward the shallows. Tiny fish scatter, instantly fleeing, before you even dip your snout. You sigh, if sighing were something dinosaurs did. Breakfast isn't happening here. Then the water stirs. Not a ripple this time, but a swell. The current shifts, reeds bending, waves rolling toward the bank. You freeze, heart hammering. From the depths a shape rises, long-scaled with a tail that flicks like a whip. A fish longer than you are tall breaks the surface scale, shimmering jaws snapping at the smaller fish fleeing before it. The splash alone nearly knocks you backward. This isn't food. This is a river monster. You flatten instinctively, pressing into the mud. The giant fish thrashes, scattering schools of silver, then dives again with a crash that sends waves sloshing onto the bank. Your sail trembles violently. For a moment you glimpse its eye, a cold round orb that doesn't even register you as worth noticing. Relief and insult all at once. Another shadow joins the first, then another. The river comes alive with giants. Fish the length of crocodiles glide beneath the surface, their tails slicing through the water like scythe. Some leap briefly, their bodies gleaming before vanishing again into the depths. It's a feeding frenzy, a prehistoric buffet. You crouch low, watching in awe and terror. The noise is deafening. Splashes crash as the slap of massive tails against the water. Smaller creatures scatter in panic. Frogs leap for cover. Birds scream overhead. Even the crocodiles keep their distance, lurking at the edges, waiting for scraps. This isn't their river anymore. It belongs to the monsters. You back slowly into the reeds, trying to vanish. Your sail brushes stalks, betraying your position with every move. A wave crashes against the bank, drenching you in cold spray. You squeal softly, tail lashing. One of the giants rolls near the surface, its massive head breaking through, teeth flashing. For a second, you imagine those jaws closing around you like a snack on the way to the real meal. Instinct screams retreat. You scuttle deeper into cover mud, clinging to your belly. The noise of the feeding frenzy grows louder behind you, echoing through the swamp like thunder. By midday, the frenzy slows. The giants sink deeper, shadows fading into the river's gloom. Silence creeps back cautiously. Only the occasional splash or ripple remains, reminders that the monsters are still there, just out of sight. You lie trembling in the reeds, heart still pounding, belly still empty. Hunger pushes you again. You creep back toward the water's edge, cautious. Small fish have returned, darting nervously in the shallows. You lunge, snapping one, gulping it down before anything larger can notice. The taste is sharp, oily, but it fills the void briefly. Then a shadow looms again. Bigger this time. You jerk back as a massive tail sweeps the shallows, scattering mud and reeds. The giant doesn't even acknowledge you, it's chasing larger prey. But the force of its movement knocks you flat, mud splattering across your face. You scramble upright, gasping. This river isn't a pantry, it's a battlefield. Afternoon heat presses down the air, thick with the stench of fish and algae. You retreat to higher ground, collapsing beneath a tree root. From here, you watch the river's surface shimmer. Shadows move constantly beneath, reminders that the monsters never leave. As evening falls, the swamp glows red with sunset. The river monsters rise once more, their scales catching the last light. They thrash, leap, and vanish again, sending waves rolling onto the bank. You crouch low, watching your sail glowing faintly. Awe mixes with dread. The truth settles in, you're strange, but so is this river. And strangeness here means danger layered on danger. You're too small to hunt these giants, too clumsy to avoid them. Too hungry to ignore the scraps they leave behind. Your life for now is scavenging at the edge of chaos. You curl into the mud as night rises, body trembling, belly half full, heart exhausted. The crocs still lurk, the pterosaurs still circle, and the river monsters still thrash. Survival here isn't about thriving, it's about not being noticed. You might think the giants are villains in your story, but they aren't. They don't even see you, and somehow that makes them scarier. To the river monsters, you're not prey, not rival, not anything at all. You're irrelevant. And in this swamp, irrelevance feels like the most fragile survival of all. The swamp has never felt empty, but this morning it feels crowded in a new way. You wake stiff and mud-caked beneath a tangle of reeds, your sail twitching as the sun warms it. The river hums softly nearby its surface, rippling with the memory of last night's monsters. But today, your instincts buzz differently. Something is near, not crocodile, not fish, not bird. Something like you. You creep forward, claws sinking into the damp soil. The reeds part, and there it is, another young Spinosaur. Taller, heavier, its sail rising like a jagged banner. Its snout dips into the shallows with a confidence you've never felt, jaws snapping at fish as though the swamp itself owes it a meal. The sight freezes you. Until now, you've believed yourself the strangest thing in this delta. Now you realize you're not alone in your strangeness. The rival lifts its head, water dripping from its jaws. Its eyes find you instantly. The air between you thickens. It hisses softly, spreading its arms, sail flaring. The gesture is unmistakable. This is its spot, and you're trespassing. Your sail trembles in response, though it looks pitiful compared to theirs. You hiss back anyway, throat rasping. Instinct whispers that this isn't about hunger anymore, it's about territory. And territory, even at your size, is life. The rival steps closer, each foot squelching into the mud. Its sail glows brighter in the morning sun, striped with orange and red. You back away, tail dragging. For a moment, you consider retreat. But hunger claws at your belly and pride claws at your brain. This patch of river is yours, or it could be if you're brave or foolish enough. The standoff stretches. Then in a blur, it lunges. You squeal, leaping sideways as its jaws snap shut inches from your flank. Mud explodes around you, reeds shatter. You lash out clumsily with your claws raking its shoulder. It hisses, twisting, tail whipping. The blow sends you stumbling, but not toppling. The swamp roars around you, fish scatterbirds, scream, frogs leap for cover. Even the crocodiles linger at the edges, watching like spectators in an arena. Two strange reptiles locked in a duel over mud and minnows. You lunge again, jaws clamping onto your rival's tail. It thrashes violently, dragging you through the mud. Water floods your nostrils, choking you, but you hold on stubbornly. Then with a twist, it throws you aside. You crash into the reeds, coughing, your sail bent awkwardly. The rival rears back, hissing triumphantly. It spreads its sail wide orange, glowing like fire. For a moment you think it will finish you, but then something shifts. A shadow glides beneath the water. A crocodile massive drawn by the noise. Both of you freeze, instincts overriding rivalry. The croc's eyes break the surface, gleaming. Its jaws open, sliding silently toward the bank. In an instant, you and your rival scatter. You dive one way at the other, both of you vanishing into cover as the predator surges onto the bank. Mud and water spray, but the croc finds nothing. From the reeds, you tremble, watching your rival retreat. Its sail flickers between stalks until it disappears deeper into the swamp. The message is clear: the delta isn't big enough for both of you. Sooner or later, this fight will happen again. And next time, luck may not save you. By midday, you lie hidden beneath a log body, aching from the clash. Scratches sting across your side, mud cakes your sail. Your belly growls, but hunting feels impossible now. The image of your rival haunts you, stronger, faster, more confident. You are strange, yes, but so is it. And the swamp doesn't reward duplicates. Evening falls, the air humming with insects. You creep cautiously back to the water's edge, snatching a small fish before darkness settles. The taste is bitter, not from the meat, but from your pride. Tonight, you've learned that the swamp isn't just filled with predators, it's filled with mirrors. Rivals who look like you, who want what you want. Who will fight you for it? You curl into the mud heart, still racing, mind restless. The crocodiles lurk, the monsters stir, and somewhere in the reeds another Spinosaur is watching, waiting. You might think the hardest part of survival is facing creatures unlike you. But the truth is harsher sometimes. The deadliest enemy is the one who shares your reflection. The swamp has a long memory, but your body remembers even more vividly. The sting on your side from your rival's claws, the ache in your tail where it slammed you. These marks remind you that survival here isn't just about predators from other species. It's about rivals too. Yet today, your enemy is older, colder, and scales thicker than armor. The crocodiles. For days they've stalked the shallows, snapping up siblings, stealing fish, and forcing you into the reeds like a coward. You've watched them bask smugly in the sun, jaws half open, daring anyone to challenge them. And though every instinct in you whispers don't hunger, and stubbornness whisper louder. Morning breaks hot and heavy. Mist lifts quickly, leaving the swamp bare and gleaming. You creep from your hiding place, belly growling, eyes sharp. The water laps lazily at the bank. On a sandbar not far away, a trio of crocodiles lounge in the sunlight. Their bodies glisten, ridged backs rising like scaled hills. Their eyes remain half closed, but you know better nothing here ever truly sleeps. You stalk closer, each step sinking into mud. Your sail quivers with tension, glowing faintly in the morning light. The crocodiles don't move. One flicks its tail lazily, splashing water. Another yawns, jaws opening wide enough to swallow you whole, and yet you inch forward. Not toward the giants themselves, you're not suicidal, but toward something smaller. In the shallows nearby, juvenile crocs cluster half their parents' size, sunning themselves carelessly. Their scales gleam, their movements clumsy, untested. For once the balance tips in your favor. You wait crouched in the reeds. Your heart hammers, your throat tightens. Then with a burst of courage, you lunge. Water erupts as you crash into the shallow's jaws, snapping around one of the smaller crocodiles. It thrashes violently, hissing, but your teeth hold fast. Mud and water spray as you drag it onto the bank, pinning it with your claws. It wriggles tail, slapping your flank, but you slam your jaws shut again, and silence follows. For the first time in your short life, you're not running from crocodiles, you're eating one. The taste is wild, gamey, tougher than fish, but rich with warmth. You tear at the flesh, clumsily, chunks sliding down your throat. Every bite feels like revenge. Every chew feels like defiance. You swallow greedily, your belly filling with a satisfaction deeper than hunger. But satisfaction is dangerous here. Because the swamp always watches, the adult crocodiles stir. One lifts its head, nostrils flaring. Its eyes lock on you, expressionless but full of intent. Another slides into the water, scales rippling, moving with terrifying grace. The third shifts on the sandbar, tail flicking. Panic floods you. You tear one last strip from your kill, then bolt. Mud sprays behind you as you lunge for the reeds, body trembling, sail quivering. The water churns violently as the adults surge forward, jaws snapping, waves crashing against the bank. You dive into the undergrowth branches, whipping your face higher, pounding so hard it drowns the swamp's chorus. Behind you, the water thrashes, but the predators don't follow far. They linger at the edge, jaws snapping in frustration, their roars vibrating through the air. You collapse deeper in the reeds, panting, blood still warm on your snout. For once you flip the script, prey has become predator. The rest of the day passes in exhaustion. You lie hidden beneath a tangle of roots, licking your wounds, belly heavy with stolen meat. The swamp hums around you, but your body buzzes with something new. Confidence. It's fragile, fleeting, but it burns in your chest. If you can face crocodiles, maybe you can face anything. Afternoon heat presses down, turning the mud into glue. You shift uncomfortably, your sail glowing faintly, heating your blood. Every rustle nearby makes you flinch, but nothing attacks. The swamp feels strangely quiet, as though it too acknowledges your victory. Evening falls, painting the river in gold. The crocodiles still linger, their ridged backs breaking the surface, but they keep their distance for now. Perhaps they're wary, perhaps they're patient. Either way, you know this balance won't last. One day soon they'll claim revenge as you did. Night settles the swamp, humming with insects. You curl into the mud body, heavy mind restless. Today you learned something new. Sometimes survival isn't about hiding. Sometimes it's about striking first. You might think revenge tastes sweet. It doesn't. It tastes like tough meat, muddy water, and the knowledge that the swamp never forgets. But for tonight, belly full, body trembling, you let yourself drift into uneasy sleep. Tomorrow the crocodiles will still be waiting, but tomorrow you'll be waiting too. The swamp smells different this morning. Less of rot, more of promise. The mist clings to the reeds curling around your sail like smoke, and the air hums with the calls of frogs and insects. Your belly growls, still riding the memory of crocodile meat, but hunger doesn't wait on nostalgia. Today you're chasing something new: ownership. The river has many fishing spots, but only a few are worth the trouble. Shallow bends where schools gather, quiet pools where lungfish linger, eddies that trap silver shoals like coins in a bowl. These places are life itself, and whoever controls them controls survival. Until now, you've scavenged scraps and stolen moments. But after your crocodile victories, something shifts in you. Hunger isn't enough anymore. You want territory. The morning sun climbs glinting off the water. You creep through the reeds, scanning. Ahead, a wide pool glimmers, fish darting just beneath the surface. Perfect. But of course, nothing here comes without an owner. A shape moves at the far end of the pool. Another Spinosaur, older, broader, its sail tall and striped with deep crimson. It wades confidently into the shallow's jaws, snapping up fish with the ease of practice. Every movement screams, ownership, this is its pantry and you're trespassing. Your throat tightens, but you don't retreat. Instead, you step forward, water lapping at your toes. Your sail rises instinctively, trembling in the sunlight. The rival notices. It freezes fish dangling from its jaws and turns toward you. For a long moment, the swamp holds its breath. Then slowly it hisses. The sound slices through the humid air, low and guttural. You answer your hiss, shaky but determined. Your belly growls again, reminding you what's at stake. The rival Spinosaur drops its fish, splashing water, and steps closer. The pool ripples with its movement, the fish scattering. It spreads its arms, sail glowing like a banner of fire. Intimidation, a warning to leave before teeth meet flesh. You hesitate, every instinct screaming to back away. But then you think of days spent starving, of fish slipping through your jaws, of crocodiles stealing every meal. Retreat means hunger. Hunger means weakness. Weakness means death. You hiss louder, spreading your own arms, though your sail looks pitiful in comparison. The rival steps closer, tail slicing through the water. Then in a blur it lunges. The pool explodes. Water churns, reeds bend, and suddenly your chest-to-chest jaws snapping. Its teeth graze your snout, but you slam sideways, shoving it off balance. Mud sucks at your feet as you grapple, water spraying around you. Fish scatter in panic, leaping from the surface like silver sparks. You clamp your jaws on its flank. It thrashes violently, tail whipping your ribs. Pain shoots through your side, but you hold fast. The rival screeches, twisting to bite your neck. At the last second, you jerk away its teeth, grazing your sail instead. The skin tears, slightly pain-sharp but survivable. The fight rages, splashing so violently that even crocodiles linger at the edges watching. You lunge again, snapping at its throat. It jerks aside, tail lashing, sending you stumbling. For a moment, your vulnerable legs tangled in reeds. The rival charges, jaws wide, only to slip on the mud and crash sideways into the pool. The opening is brief, but you seize it. You pounce, jaws snapping shut on its tail. With all your strength, you yank. The rival screeches, flailing. Water churns violently as it thrashes, but you don't let go. Finally, with a guttural hiss, it wrenches free and retreats, slipping deeper into the reeds. Its sail flickers once more before vanishing into shadow. Silence follows, broken only by your ragged breathing. The pool settles, fish cautiously returning. You stand trembling in the shallow's body, aching sail, dripping blood, but the water is yours. Your belly roars. You snap at the surface, catching a fish easily this time. Then another. The pool is rich, and for once you can eat without fear of interruption. Each bite feels like triumph, warm and oily, sliding down your throat. You gorge yourself until your belly swells until exhaustion drags at your limbs. By afternoon, you collapse on the bank panting. The pool glimmers beside you, fish darting still. The rival hasn't returned. For now, this place is yours. Your territory, your pantry. The swamp hums around you, insects buzzing, frogs croaking. Birds wheel overhead, their cries sharp. You close your eyes briefly, belly full, body heavy. Ownership feels different than survival. It feels like strength. Evening paints the swamp in fire, the water glowing red. You wade once more into the pool, snapping up one last fish before night falls. Then you curl into the reeds' mud, coating your body sail, pressed low. You might think territory is permanent, a prize you can hold forever. But in this swamp, nothing lasts. Rivals return, crocodiles, stalk monsters rise from the river. Still tonight you sleep with a rare comfort, for now you own a piece of the swamp. And in the Cretaceous Delta, owning even a puddle feels like conquering an empire. The pool is quiet in the morning. Too quiet. The fish dart nervously beneath the surface, but they're not your concern yet. You stand on the bank, mud caked across your snout, your sail glowing faintly in the rising sun. Every twitch of that sail stings. The rival's teeth tore it yesterday, leaving scars that burn with every movement. It hurts, yes, but it also does something else. It speaks. Because in this swamp, blood is language. You ease into the shallows, ripples circling your legs. The pool is still yours, but you can feel the swamp watching, judging. A tear in your sail means you fought, and more importantly, that you survived. It's a signal not of weakness, but of warning. I bleed, but I'm still here. The light catches the scar, and for a brief moment, it even looks like a crimson stripe painted across your back. Birds circle overhead, shrieking as they dive for insects. Their cries echo across the water. Somewhere nearby, a crocodile shifts, scales glinting. You hiss instinctively, sail rising, blood scars flashing. The croc pauses, nostrils flaring, before sliding back beneath the surface. It's not impressed, but it hesitates. That hesitation is all you need. Midday arrives heavy and hot. The sun bakes the swamp steam, rising in shimmering curtains. Your sail drinks in the heat, warming your blood, fueling your limbs. The pain dulls into a throb, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. You wade through the pool, snapping up fish with ease. Each catch strengthens you. Each gulp dulls the hunger. Then a sound. A hiss, low and sharp, slicing through the hum of insects. You freeze, jaws still dripping. From the reeds it emerges, the rival Spinosaur. Its sail rises high, unmarred, glowing like fire. Its eyes lock on you, nostrils flaring, breath hissing. The air thickens with tension. You spread your own sail, scarred but wide. The rival steps closer, water swirling around its legs. The two of you circle in the shallow sails, flaring like banners in battle. To outsiders, it looks theatrical. To you, it's survival. Every movement is a conversation, strength, defiance, warning. The rival lunges first, jaws snapping. You dart aside, water splashing your sail, trembling. It hisses louder, tail whipping the surface into foam. You answer with a snap of your own teeth, grazing its flank. Blood sprays, staining the water red. The rival recoils, shrieking. The pool churns with chaos. Fish scatter reeds, thrash waves, crash against the bank. You slam your body sideways, your sail striking its ribs. The force isn't enough to injure, but it sends a message: even wounded, you fight. Your scar glistens crimson in the sunlight, and for the first time the rival falters. It retreats a step, hissing, sail drooping slightly. You hiss louder, stepping forward, blood dripping from your teeth. The swamp itself seems to hold its breath. Then with a final glare, the rival turns, splashing into the reeds, vanishing into shadow. Silence returns slowly. The water settles, fish drift back cautiously, and you stand trembling, victorious again. Your sail aches, blood dripping steadily, but the pool remains yours. For now. By afternoon, exhaustion drags at your limbs. You collapse on the bank, belly full, wounds stinging. The swamp hums around you, insects buzzing, frogs croaking. You lick the mud from your snout, your sail twitching weakly. Every throb reminds you survival here isn't clean. It's written in scars. Evening paints the swamp in red and gold. You wade once more into the pool, snapping up a fish lazily. The taste is sharp, metallic, mixing with the tang of blood still on your tongue. You stand in the water sail, glowing faintly scars, catching the last light. Night falls, shadows thickening. You curl into the reeds' mud, coating your wounds, body trembling with fatigue. The swamp whispers its usual chorus, croaks, splashes, rustles, but tonight you hear something else beneath it. A message carved into your body: you are strange, but you are strong. You might think scars are weaknesses, but here scars are signals. And your sail, torn and blood-streaked, tells the swamp a story: you fought, you bled, you survived. The swamp has never been consistent, but your body seems even less reliable. You wake one morning stretched out beneath a fallen log and notice something unsettling. You don't look the same as yesterday, or the day before, or the week before. It's as if every sunrise redraws you, tweaking your proportions like the swamp itself. Can't decide what a Spinosaur should be. Your sail feels taller, tugging at your back, like someone's hoisted a flag without asking permission. Your tail seems longer, heavier, almost paddle-like. You catch your reflection in a pool of still water and tilt your head. The creature staring back looks unfamiliar, like a rough draft being edited daily. One day, you're a crocodile impersonator, the next, you're a clumsy heron, and the next, you look like a lizard that swallowed a canoe. To you, it's confusing. To the swamp, it doesn't matter. You're still just another mouth trying to eat and not be eaten. But one day, millions of years later, humans will dig up your bones and argue endlessly about what you actually looked like. Some will draw you waddling on land, others will paint you gliding like a fish. A few will give you stubby legs and a giant sail that looks like a billboard advertising "Confusion Now" in dinosaur form. For now, though, remodeling hurts. Your sail itches constantly, skin stretching, as blood vessels throb beneath. Your tail drags differently, heavier, awkward. Walking feels like learning all over again, each step unsteady. Even your snout tingles, teeth shifting slightly as if your jaws are recalibrating for new prey. Midday brings no clarity. You wade into the pool, snapping lazily at fish, but even hunting feels strange. Your longer tail slaps the water louder, scaring prey before you strike. Your sail, taller than ever, wobbles clumsily in the current. You manage a few catches, but each bite tastes faintly of frustration. By afternoon, the swamp mocks you openly. A heron-like bird shrieks from a branch, its cry sounding almost like laughter. Frogs croak louder than usual, their chorus grating. Even the crocodiles seem smug, lounging in the shallows, their forms unchanged and timeless. You hiss at them, but it only makes your sail twitch more awkwardly. Exhaustion drags at you. You collapse onto the bank belly, half-full, body aching. You glance at your reflection again and sigh internally. This body doesn't feel permanent. Tomorrow it might be different again. The swamp demands adaptation, but you're starting to wonder if even your own bones know what they're doing. As evening falls, the air cools, shadows stretch. You curl into the mud tail wrapped around you, sail glowing faintly in the fading light. Insects hum overhead, frogs croak in rhythm, and somewhere distant another Spinosaur hisses. You close your eyes, drifting into uneasy sleep, half afraid you'll wake tomorrow with yet another remodel. You might think identity is fixed, but here even your skeleton is undecided. And in the swamp, that strangeness is just one more way the world reminds you you're never finished, never final, always in flux. The swamp wakes you with its usual chorus: frogs, croaking like broken trombones, insects buzzing in endless static, and the faint slap of fishtails against water. You stretch in the mud, your sail twitching stiffly in the dawn light. Every joint aches, every scar itches, but you're still here. That counts as victory. Yet as you wade toward the river, a thought gnaws at you stronger than hunger: you don't belong. Not fully, not anywhere. In water, you're too clumsy. On land, you're too awkward. You are something in between, and in this swamp in between is its own kind of danger. The water greets you cold, rippling against your legs. Fish scatter as you move, their silver bodies flashing. You dip your snout, trying to imitate the crocodiles. Stillness, patience, sudden violence. But patience has never been your strength. You lunge too quickly, sending waves across the pool. The fish vanish instantly, leaving only your reflection staring back. Your sail glows in the sunlight, and for a moment you almost laugh at yourself. A predator who scares away prey just by existing. Frustration pushes you back to land. You clamber up the bank mud, sucking at your toes, tail dragging. The trees loom above their trunks, thick and ancient, their branches draped with vines. Shadows shift between the roots. The air smells different here, earthier, sharper, tinged with musk. You pause, nostrils flaring. Something else hunts this path. A rustle answers. From the undergrowth, a theropod steps out, feathers bristling, eyes gleaming. Smaller than you, but faster, leaner, built for land. It stares, head-tilting claws flexing. You hiss, sail, flaring, trying to look larger. The theropod circles unimpressed. Its movements are smooth, confident. You lurch forward awkwardly, tail swinging wide. The ground trembles under your weight, but the predator dances aside easily, claws slashing the air. You snap your jaws teeth, grazing its flank. It screeches, darting backward, then melts into the forest shadows. You stand trembling, victorious by default, your sail twitching. Land predators don't see you as master, but they don't see you as easy prey either. That's something. By midday, the swamp bakes. Steam rises the air, heavy insects swarming your eyes. You return to the water body, cooling limbs lighter. Here you can slip beneath the surface, tail, swishing body gliding. Not elegant, but efficient enough. You chase fish, snap at one, and for once succeed. The taste is sharp, slippery, satisfying. Underwater, you feel closer to yourself, but then you surface. A crocodile glides nearby, eyes, unblinking jaws parting. Instinct yanks you back to shore. You stumble onto the bank, dripping, gasping. Safe for now, but mocked by the truth neither world welcomes you. Afternoon drags on. You wander along the edge, sometimes in water, sometimes on land, never at peace in either. Birds shriek overhead, frogs leap from your path. Crocodiles watch from the shallows. You hiss at them all, though inside you wonder if the swamp itself is laughing. By evening, the sky burns orange, the water glowing like molten metal. You rest in the reeds, belly half full, body aching. Your sail catches the fading light, scarred but proud. The air cools, insects hum, and shadows creep across the swamp. You close your eyes, drifting toward uneasy sleep, and the truth settles heavy in your chest. You're not a master of water nor a ruler of land. You are forever between. You might think balance is a gift, but here balance means you're never steady. You're always leaning, always slipping, always trying to find footing in two worlds that both want you gone. And yet somehow you endure. The swamp has many voices, but none rumble as deep as the footsteps of giants. You wake to them one morning, distant thuds shaking the mud beneath your belly, rattling your ribs like a drumbeat. You freeze, sail, twitching eyes darting toward the trees. The sound grows louder, each impact measured and deliberate. Whatever approaches isn't rushing. It doesn't need to. You creep from your nest of reeds, nostrils flaring. The air carries musk and iron sharp enough to sting. Then through the shadows of towering trunks it appears a Dinosaur. Not the quick feathered hunters you've dodged before, but a hulking beast built for dominance. Its head alone is longer than your body. Teeth like serrated knives gleam in the morning sun, and every step it takes leaves deep gouges in the mud. Your body stiffens. On land, you've always been awkward, too heavy for grace, too tall for stealth. But this predator is pure efficiency. Its tail sways with balance, its muscles ripple with power, its eyes lock onto the world like crosshairs. You lower yourself instinctively, hissing, sail rising. It's a pathetic gesture, but instinct is stubborn. The giant notices you. Its head tilts slightly, eyes narrowing. For a heartbeat, you're just another target, something to test its hunger. It steps closer, jaws parting, breath steaming. The ground trembles with each stride. You back away, tail dragging, heart hammering. For a moment, the swamp feels smaller, suffocating beneath its weight. Then salvation by distraction. A herd of hadrosaurs burst from the trees, their calls shrill, their bodies crashing through reeds. The Dinosaur swings its head, attention shifting. With a guttural roar, it charges, jaws snapping at the fleeing herbivores. Trees splinter as it vanishes into the chaos, leaving you trembling on the bank. Relief floods you, but it's laced with dread. Because today you've learned something vital: you're not the only giant here. And unlike you, they belong fully to the land. By midday, the swamp simmers under the sun. You wander cautiously, belly growling, limbs heavy. Every shadow feels sharper, every sound heavier. The memory of that predator lingers in your chest. You try to focus on hunting, snapping up a few fish, swallowing a frog, but each splash makes you glance over your shoulder. In the afternoon, you stumble upon tracks in the mud. Massive three-toed pressed deep enough to pool with water. The air smells faintly of musk again. Your sail twitches. The crocodile-dinosaur passed this way recently and perhaps still lingers. You back away carefully, tail dragging, eyes scanning the trees. Evening falls, the swamp glowing red. You crouch in the reed's belly, half full but restless. Across the water you glimpse movement, another shadow, massive, ridged, prowling along the bank. Another crocodile-dinosaur, or maybe the same one circling back. It moves with patient menace, its silhouette cutting through the fading light. You sink lower, mud coating your snout, breath shallow. The predator pauses, nostrils flaring. For one tense moment it seems to stare directly at you. Then it snorts, turns, and vanishes into the forest. The swamp exhales with you. Night deepens, the chorus of insects rising. You curl into the mud, trembling, eyes heavy. The crocodiles lurk, the fish dart, the rivals stalk, but none of them carry the same weight as the giants on shore. Against them your sail means nothing. Your claws mean nothing. You are simply another moving shadow in their hunting ground. You might think size guarantees power. But here even giants meet bigger giants. And for you caught between two worlds, every encounter with them is a reminder: you're strange, yes, but not supreme. Not yet. You wake to a pressure in the air like a hand on the back of your neck. The swamp is dim at noon, the sky the color of old metal. The reeds bowed as if listening. Frogs fall silent. Even the insects hesitate. Your sail flickers with static coolness, skin pimpling as the first cold gust slips through the delta. Somewhere upriver, thunder coughs once, twice, then holds its breath. The smell hits next: wet stone, sour mud, the sharp tin scent of distant lightning. You ease from your hollow and stare at the river. It looks swollen, shoulders higher than yesterday current, moving with a purposeful glide. A lone log bumps the bank, spins, and vanishes like it was yanked by an invisible rope. Your belly tightens. You remember the crocodiles, the rival Spinosaur, the monsters that turned water into teeth. The flood will invite them all, plus everything else that floats. Rain arrives as a hiss before it's a sound, stippling your muzzle, turning dust to syrup. Then the sky opens, sheets. The surface booms with a billion pinpricks, and the river bulks outward greedy. You back up instinctively, sail plastered flat, but the water steps after you, towing your prints, tugging at your ankles. The first real wave climbs the bank, curls around your feet like a curious snake, and slides away, promising to return with friends. You try the trees. Land has never loved you, but the roots at least are high. You clamber into knotted buttresses, tail-thumping claws scraping wet bark. The rain is colder here, meaner, bouncing from leaves, dripping from your nose. The forest smells like crushed ferns, lightning, and fear. Over the river you hear wood break and something big complain, a groan, half tree, half animal. You don't look. You feel the vibration in your ribs. The flood finds you anyway. Water pours between roots, a fast brown braid that carries reeds, frogs, and a torn hunk of something that once had scales. Your perch becomes an island. Your island becomes a suggestion. You wade, then swim, tail working side to side like an oar you only recently remembered you own. The current takes possession of you without asking. You are luggage now, strapped to a rushing beast. Sound shreds into layers, rain on water, on wood, on rock, thunder layering on all of it like a drumline. Your sail keeps trying to stand. The wind keeps slapping it flat. You aim yourself diagonally the way instinct says fish do. It almost works. A tree trunk shoulders into you and spins you like a clumsy coin. You smack it with your hip and kick free, coughing, river eyes burning with silt. A crocodile rides the flood like a smug raft, half-submerged mouth open to catch gifts. You both see each other too late. It glides for your flank. You cut hard and dive bubbles sizzling along your snout. The world becomes brown and pressure. Here your weirdness helps bones dense enough to argue with buoyancy, a tail more paddle than whip feet that don't hate the water as much as your pride does. You angle under and past scraping bark with your sail surfacing in a pocket of quiet where floating lilies spin in terrified circles. You cling to a root and breathe. The rain has softened the world into a blur. Shoreline erased distances light about. Carcasses drift by with worshipful slowness. Fish with flayed sides, a juvenile croc, with its belly open like a dropped basket, a bird with wings that will never be folded again. The flood feeds everyone. The flood charges interest. You let go and ride another tongue of current toward a line of half-drowned shrubs. A branch snags your sail and yanks. Pain sparks. You jerk sideways and the branch rips free with a wet complaint, leaving a fresh thin tear across yesterday's scar. Your blood disappears instantly into someone else's dinner. The reed thicket you reach is barely there, more idea than plant, but it breaks the river's fist into fingers. Behind it, the flow sighs. You float there shaking. The smell changes. Cold and sweet now, a high country perfume of rock and new water that doesn't know mud yet. This is not a local tantrum. This is the basin emptying its pockets. You think of your hard-won pool, your fish market now a soft seam. Somewhere under this brown sprint, ownership, it turns out, is a fair-weather word. A log rolls and a saw-nosed fish longer than you are, tall slides across its back like a knife across bread. It thrashes, the log rolls again. Both vanish. Farther out, a coelacanth, the size of a nightmare, corkscrews at the surface, stunned then is gone beneath a sheet of foam. The flood gathers everything strange and throws it at your eyes. You watch because there is nothing else to do. Here's the modern aside your future viewers would understand. Imagine the worst traffic jam you've ever seen, but it's all water. Every lane moving, every car on fire, and the exit signs are floating upside down, or being dropped into a washing machine mid-cycle with your least favorite furniture. The Delta is doing its annual software update and nobody read the release notes. You might think the flood is pure enemy, but it carries mercy in its filthy pockets. A stunned lungfish pins against your thigh. Reflex bites before thought. You clamp, shake, gulp. Warmth blooms through your belly like a small lamp lit against rain. Another fish bumps your chest. You pin it to the root with your foreclaw and swallow it whole. 2 bites and the world feels one shade less hostile. The flood takes, the flood gives sullenly. Science quietly humming under the thunder, your dense limb bones are ballast that lets you ride under the chop instead of being tossed like a leaf. Your tail, taller and more finned than most theropods, makes lateral sweeps that actually go somewhere. Your long, low snout can rest just above the surface to breathe, while your eyes and nostrils eavesdrop on the current. Your sail is a billboard in fair weather, but right now it is a windsock and a thermometer telling blood where the heat lives in this cold rain. Hours pass measured only by the way your muscles burn and then burn less. The rain softens from rage to argument. The river stops climbing and decides reluctantly to remember the idea of banks. Debris stalls and new braids forming rude archipelagos, mats of reeds, islands of branches, a lumpy, ungenerous shore. You crawl onto one leg, shaking belly, dragging a tattoo in the silt. The world feels heavier in air than it did in water. Night comes early under the bruised sky. Lightning throws white bones through the clouds, then tucks them away. You find the windward side of a half-uprooted tree and wedge yourself there, tail curled. Sail pressed to bark. The rain has thinned to a fine needling mist. Every sound is closer at night, the gulp of a croc, testing the new shoreline, the plip of a stranded fish, remembering too late it is not a lizard, the thin squeal of something small that won't get another dawn. You doze in slices. In one, you are back in your pool and the fish leap willingly into your mouth. In another, your rival stands on a dry bank that does not exist, its sail unscarred, staring until the water lifts you both like toys. A wave nudges your hip, and you wake again counting breaths against the tree, letting your heart slow enough to hear the ordinary rain beneath the extraordinary river. By morning, the delta pretends nothing happened. The sky is an innocent blue rag. The reeds stand up and smooth their hair. The air smells washed fern and clay with a shy sweetness underneath. The river is still fat, still fast, but it has remembered the word edge. Your island is now a peninsula. Your peninsula is now a path. You step off carefully, each print filling with clean water. Each step a conversation with new ground. The flood has erased maps and drawn opportunities. Dead things lie where living things do not expect them. Pockets of fish blink in puddles that were air yesterday. Crocodiles patrol the new geometry with the confidence of landlords. And somewhere under all this, your stolen pool waits to be found or replaced. You might think the flood has only set you back, but it has also thinned rivals, moved boundaries, fed you mid-storm, and taught your body the river's grammar. You are still a creature between worlds, but today you spoke both languages with your whole spine. And so, as the last brown ropes unwind and the clear water writes smaller stories, a different scent slips into the washed air, warm, iron-sweet, not storm, but season. Your sail stirs not with cold this time, but with a thought older than any flood. There will be signals to send dances to attempt choices to make. The swamp is calmed after the flood, but calm never lasts long here. You wake to a sky stretched wide and cloudless, the sun glowing faintly orange as if it has secrets. The reeds whisper in the breeze, frogs croak lazily, and for once the river moves without rage. You stretch your limbs, sail trembling in the early light, still scarred but steady. Something feels different. The air is dry lighter. The scent of the swamp is less rot, more dust. You wade into the shallows, testing the current. The water is lower than yesterday, the mud banks broader. It's a quiet warning the swamp has left for you, change is coming. And not just the kind that eats you with teeth. Mid-morning the birds notice first. Pterosaurs circle higher, more frantic, their cries sharp as blades. They wheel in strange patterns, diving, then rising again as though trying to outclimb the invisible. Even the crocodiles seem uneasy, gliding in restless arcs along the banks. You squint at the sky, nostrils flaring. The light feels wrong, thicker, redder, too heavy for morning. You prowl along the bank claws, squelching in the mud. Fish scatter as your shadow passes, but you don't lunge. Hunger gnaws, but something louder hums in your bones. Instinct whispers, pay attention. By noon, the air grows hotter than usual, pressing down on your sail like a hand. You wander to a sandbar belly, half in water, eyes tilted skyward. A flicker crosses the horizon. At first you think it's a bird, but it moves too fast, too steady, too bright. The streak cuts the blue with a silver knife edge, then vanishes behind the clouds. The swamp groans as if it felt that too. You shake your head, mud dripping from your snout. Perhaps it's nothing. The swamp is full of distractions. Still unease stalks you tighter than hunger. Even the insects hum in uneasy rhythm, their chorus less confident, more frantic. Afternoon brings no comfort. The sun hangs red swollen, its light filtered into strange colors. Shadows fall longer than they should. You splash through the reeds chasing a lungfish, but your heart isn't in it. Every ripple makes you glance upward. Every gust of wind feels like a warning. The fish escapes easily, leaving you staring into the water at your own reflection. Your sail glows faintly crimson in the tinted sun, as though painted in blood. Modern aside, it's like living under a faulty light bulb that flickers just before it blows. Except when light bulbs fail, no forests collapse, no rivers vanish, no skies tear open. You can't shake the feeling you're rehearsing for something larger, and the rehearsal doesn't come with a script. Evening drags itself over the swamp. The horizon burns in violent shades of orange and red clouds, stretched into bruised streaks. The pterosaurs screech louder, circling in frantic loops. Frogs fall silent, crocodiles sink without a ripple, and the fish retreat deeper than you've seen. The swamp holds its breath, and so do you. The first tremor arrives softly. The mud beneath your toes shivers subtle as a heartbeat. You freeze, head snapping upward. A second tremor follows stronger, sending ripples across the water. The reeds sway, though no wind blows. The swamp hums in a register too low for comfort. Night doesn't fall so much as collapse. The sky darkens fast, stars, hidden clouds thick. Lightning flashes without thunder, silent and strange, painting the river in brief silver. Your sail trembles violently, your instincts screaming louder than words something is wrong above. You huddle beneath the roots of a fallen tree mud, clinging to your body, heart hammering. The swamp sings a strange new song, now groans in the earth, crackles in the air, rustles in the sky. You close your eyes, but sleep avoids you. Every sound feels final, every shadow feels heavier. By midnight, the signs are undeniable. The wind rises hot and sharp, carrying the stench of stone and ash. You lift your snout, gagging. The swamp is no longer just swamp. The sky is leaking. The horizon glows faintly, not with moonlight, but with fire. You press yourself deeper into the mud, trembling. Instinct offers no guidance here. Against crocodiles, against rivals, against floods, there were strategies. But against the sky, you are nothing but a shadow waiting to be erased. You might think danger always has teeth or claws, but tonight teaches otherwise. Sometimes the predator is the air itself, the sky itself, the world itself, shifting against you. And as you lie there, mud in your lungs sail, twitching in terror. You know one thing, the signs in the sky are not warnings, they're promises. Night doesn't end so much as thin, as if the sky is a curtain someone forgot to fully pull back. You're still wedged in roots and mud when the air changes from damp to dry, from swamp breath to kiln breath. Your sail prickles. The breeze tastes like old coins and chalk dust. Somewhere beyond the trees, the horizon pulses an ember under a lid. You lift your snout and feel it before you understand it. The sky itself is hunting. The first light arrives without sunrise. A smear slides over the clouds, bright as molten metal, straight as a thrown spear. It hisses across the silence and rips itself apart into glowing crumbs that fan outward and fade. A heartbeat later, the sound catches up a ragged tearing, then a thud you feel in your ribs. Frogs burrow, fish dive, pterosaurs shear off their circles and stream away like torn flags. You stand legs shaking and the mud sucks reluctantly at your feet as if it wants you to stay low. Wind sweeps in ahead of the heat. It smells of distant rock resin and something sweetly rotten like fruit left on warm stone. When the heat itself arrives, it's not a wall. It's hands. It slides along your flanks, tests your sail fingers, your scars. You slink toward the river because everything in your body agrees on one rule: when the world burns, water argues back. The bank widened by the flood is already stippled with ash. It falls in silent snow that tastes like old bone. You ease into the channel, grateful for the cold that climbs your legs. The current is still stronger than last week, but not angry. You wade deeper until your belly floats and your tail lifts. The surface wears the sky's new color, orange, then copper, then the bruised purple of smoke. You lower your snout to a slit above the water and hold their eyes and nostrils listening. The forest lights and beads. Not one roaring curtain, but a constellation flames, walking the ground on dry grass and climbed wood, then hopping ahead on sparks when the wind encourages them. A reed head pops with a sound like biting into hot seeds. Smoke unspools over the river and smothers the horizon. Somewhere behind that curtain, a tree fails splitting and sighing, and the ground answers with a shiver. Underwater, the world stays honest. It is cold, it is brown, it pushes you where it wishes. You angle your tail and ferry yourself cross-current to a pocket behind a half-drowned trunk, a place where the water rests its elbows and breathes. Fish twine there in tight knots, confused by dim light and falling ash. You snap, reflexively take two quick bodies, feel their heat bloom in you like small lanterns. For a moment, survival is as simple as swallowing. Then the river grows hot at the skin. Not boiling, just mean. You feel it spare your legs and argue with your sail. You duck deeper and your bones do the good work they were grown for. They're dense, weighty, the kind of bones that ignore a current's lies. Your tail sweeps and you slide under the worst of it until the world sounds like a distant storm and tastes like mud again. You sit there a strange reptile that swims on pride, only when no one is watching, and think of your pool, the fish market you fought for with teeth and blood. Is it still there beneath that orange sky, or is it now a stew of cinders ready for someone else's claim? Modern aside, imagine every push notification you never asked for arriving at once. Buzz, buzz, buzz until your phone is simply heat in your hand. That's what the swamp feels like now. Urgent and unhelpful. Above the fire chooses favorites and then breaks its own rules. A gust pushes tongues out over the water and they lick the reeds, then retreat sulking. Ash gathers in scummy islands and sails downstream. A pterosaur clips the smoke wrong, coughs mid-wing beat and drops into the channel with a slap. Crocodiles converge like polite undertakers. You sink your head and let the scene slide over you. There are days to steal. Today is not bold. You might think your sail is an enemy in a fire, and when the heat presses, you agree. But it also tattles to your blood. It takes the temperature of wind and water and whispers the numbers along the red channels etched inside it. You can feel the difference between river skin and river heart, between breeze and draft, between stay low and now. You climb when it cools, submerge when it stings like a lizard using a barometer strapped to its spine. Still, you're not foolish. You pack the gaps in your sail with river muck, a thick gray paste that dries into a crude shield. Congratulations, SPF Swamp, Science Break whispered. So you don't spook yourself, the Cretaceous carried more oxygen than your far future. And that fattens flames. That's why the charcoal layer shows up so often in the rocks that will one day be broken for answers. Lightning is common in hot air over wet plant. Updrafts manufacture fire without any need for skystones. And though a famous killer from space will come long after your bones are already mud, smaller visitors still burn the air now and then. Meanwhile, your body has answers that have nothing to do with stars, limb bone density like a hippo, a tall, finned tail built to push water instead of air, and a long pressure-sensing snout that hunts by feel when sight goes wrong. Some future minds will argue about you, but today the river sides with your bones. The fire is not one story. In places it rages and eats whole groves. In others it crawls and licks and then dies from boredom. Where it passes the ground is a map drawn in black. Where it fails, the reeds stand smug and wet. You ferry between those worlds, staying in the gray, letting ash paint you into a thing no predator recognizes. Once a juvenile croc noses near curious, you bump its jaw with your skull and it leaves offended. Once a lungfish surfaces gulping air, bewildered by what the air has become, you take it quick and kind. Afternoon pretends to exist, but the sky refuses to prove it. The light stays copper and then slides toward plum. Soot freckles your eyes. Your tongue learns the taste of old wood. Every breath is a decision. You rest more than you travel, letting the current shuttle you from lee to eddy to lee again. Twice embers land near hiss and die. 3 times branches pass wearing small crowns of flame, and you give them the depth they argue for. When the wind finally tires, the river shows its trophies. Carp with blackened fins drift belly up in slow spirals. A heron lies on its side at the margin. White feathers now a dull gray script. In the shallows, beetles slurp a burnt reed head as if it were honey. The swamp is already writing the sequel. That is its only religion. Evening at last remembers to happen. The heat eases off your sail. The ash falls less like snow and more like dandruff. Smoke thins into a high lid. You step onto a bar newly grown from flood-gifted silt and sit there, tail in the wash, foreclaws spread, as if you are a carved thing someone left to watch the channel. The air brings back a hint of your ordinary life, wet fern old fish. Something green trying again. You breathe all the way down. You might think fire only takes, but it also tilts the chessboard. Rivals who owned banks in the morning own water now. Crocodiles that lounge like kings stalk like beggars. Fish that mocked you with speed float into your reach without speeches. Territory redraws itself while everyone coughs. If you can stand up first, you can name things again. You rise sore but clear and let the current help you toward where your pool should be. Along the way, you mark the new edges, a logjam that wasn't there yesterday, a sand tongue that proposes a shortcut, a bend where the smoke still pretends to be fog. You keep low whenever the air scratches, you lift when it softens. Your sail, mud-patched and scar-crossed, hums its quiet weather report. When you arrive, your pantry is a stranger. The mirror flat surface that once glittered with minnows is canvas dull, skimmed with ash. Fish twitch along the margin, shocked and slow. In the shadows, a shape moves tall, familiar, edged with red along a proud back. Your rival is already here, standing shin deep, harvesting the dazed with lazy bites as if it had always owned this place. It lifts its head and sees you. Your scars glow. Its sail climbs the smoke and answers. And there it is, the second hunt of the day. Not for meat, for names. You step forward until the soot film kisses your shins. The air still hurts a little, but not enough to stop you. Your hiss threads the last of the wind. The rival wades closer, water burning off its ankles in little ghosts. Between you, the pool remembers being yours and also remembers being no one's. The reeds crackle once and go silent. You hold there, feeling the river push your calves and the ash settle on your tongue, and you decide what a fire has already decided for you. Tomorrow is made of new rules, and if there's one thing you've learned since the flood, it's this: you can learn new grammar fast. The morning after fire is quieter than you've ever heard the swamp. No frogs, no birds, not even the drone of insects. Just the whisper of water moving against banks that don't remember their shape. You lift your head from the mud sail crusted in soot and blink at a horizon painted gray. The sun is there, but faint like a coin under dirty glass. You stumble to the water's edge, claws sinking in ash instead of mud. Each step stirs clouds that sting your nostrils. The river itself is slower now, choked with charred branches and the bloated bodies of fish that couldn't dive fast enough. You lower your snout to drink, but the water tastes like smoke and iron. Still, you swallow. In the Cretaceous Delta, thirst isn't picky. The air presses heavy on your sail. Every flicker of wind carries grit that scratches your scars raw. You wade deeper, hoping the water will cool you, but even submerged, your body feels coated in the weight of ash. Instinct says, move, find cleaner ground, but the swamp isn't offering anywhere safe. On land, predators stalk starving. In water, crocodiles lurk hungrier than ever. Between two worlds again, and neither wants you. By midday, the silence cracks. A pterosaur wheels overhead, coughing out a croak instead of its usual scream. Its wings beat unevenly, ash clinging to every featherless edge. It dives at the river claws, swiping weakly, then collapses into the water with a splash. You wait for the crocodiles to claim it, but none appear. Hunger has even slowed them. You drag the carcass closer with your snout and tear into it. The taste is foul bitter with smoke, but your belly thanks you anyway. The afternoon drags like wet cloth. Ash dims the sun until the world feels trapped in endless dusk. You wander along the shoreline, finding pools of stranded fish gasping in muddy pits. Some still twitch easy meals that make you feel briefly powerful. But every bite comes with a cost. Your throat burns, your belly cramps, your body groans under the strange diet of ash-soaked prey. Still, survival is a numbers game, and today you win a few. Modern aside, it's like living after a city-wide blackout. The lights don't come back, the stores stay shut, and even the vending machines give you ash instead of chips. You walk streets that should be noisy and find only your own footsteps. That's the swamp now, except replace vending machines with crocodiles, and the ash is real. Evening comes without ceremony. The sun drops behind the smoke, leaving a horizon the color of bruised bone. You curl beneath a burned log mud, clinging to your flanks, sail trembling. Your belly aches, your lungs itch, your body begs for rest. The swamp whispers differently now, groans from half-burned trees, collapsing trickles of water, carving new paths through charred soil. You close your eyes, though sleep feels more like surrender than rest. Days pass like this one, bleeding into another. Ash settles on everything, muting colors, dulling sounds. Your sail, once bright, is now a canvas of soot and scars. The fish return, slowly, nervously smaller than before. Crocodiles still lurk, but even their patience seems tested. Rivals vanish into the haze. Maybe they starved, maybe they wandered into worse. By the third week, the swamp coughs itself back into rhythm. Frogs croak faintly, birds return in cautious loops. Insects hum again with irritating persistence. Life refuses to quit even if it limps. You snap at minnows, gulp down frogs, and watch shoots of green push through black soil. The world is stubborn, and so are you. But the air never clears. Every breath tastes faintly of charcoal. The sunsets glow unnatural, redder, sharper, painting your sail like a wound against the sky. At night, the stars hide behind haze, and the moon is only a pale smear. You wonder if this is forever, if the swamp you knew is gone, replaced by this endless twilight. One afternoon, you stumble upon the rival pool. Ash blankets its surface like a skin. The reeds are gone, burned to stumps, the water shallow and lifeless. No fish dart, no ripples stir. You stand at the edge, belly growling, heart sinking. The place you fought for with blood and scars has been erased not by predators, not by rivals, but by skyfire and ash. You hiss softly a sound that vanishes into silence. Evening finds you on a new sandbar, one carved by the flood, hardened by fire. You crouch there, tail curled, watching the river shimmer faintly under ash clouds. You're thinner now, your movements slower, your body worn, but you're still breathing, still here. You might think extinction comes all at once, a single blow, a dramatic ending, but the ash years teach otherwise. Sometimes it's slower, a quiet theft day by day, meal by meal, until the world reshapes itself and dares you to keep up. And somehow you do. Morning returns gingerly as if asking permission. The ash haze has thinned to a pale veil, and the river has remembered how to glitter. You lift yourself from the cool mud joints, clicking softly, sail traced with a map of old fires and older fights. The reeds are shorter than they used to be, the bank, wider the water, clearer in places and sullen in others. You step forward anyway. You have always stepped forward. The swamp is not what it was, but then neither are you. Your stride is slower, your tail sweep more deliberate. The scars on your sail tug at the skin when the breeze changes, telling you weather in a language you learned the hard way. Fish still flicker, crocodiles still loiter, pterosaurs carve their lazy cursive in the sky again. The world pretends to be ordinary, you pretend along with it. By midday, warmth seeps into your bones the way stories seep into mud. You wade the shallows at a bend that once held your fish market, now a plain bowl of water stubbled with new reeds. You take 2 silver bodies with practiced bites, swallow slowly, and stand there breathing river in memory. Across the channel, a hunched ridge of burned trunks points like a black hand toward nothing. You blink until it is only trees again. You nap in slices. Each time you wake, the light has shifted and some small detail has agreed to be alive. A beetle purling along a reed, a frog testing its voice, a dragonfly choosing you for a landing pad and then thinking better of it. You climb onto a bar of clean silt. The flood forgot to repossess and settle your belly against sun-warmed sand. The heat sinks into you. Your tail draws an accidental spiral. There are moments in a life when everything stops asking for decisions. This is one. No crocodile watches you with the old arithmetic of hunger. No rival hisses from the reeds. The wind has set its arguments down. Even the river agrees to move around you politely. Your sail hums its quiet weather report, warm, steady kind. Modern aside, if your life were a streaming series, this would be the episode with fewer lines and more long shots. The camera lingering on water and hands and a face that doesn't need to explain itself anymore. Some viewers would call it filler. The ones who've ever been tired would call it the point. You breathe in slow. The air tastes less like charcoal today, more like fern and mud baked to sweetness. Your eyelids sag with that heavy, generous gravity that used to visit only after impossible days. Somewhere far off, thunder mumbles, but it is the social kind, clouds gossiping, not scheming. You lower your head until your snout just touches the silt, and your vision widens to a soft blur of sky reed and glimmer. The world becomes 3 colors and a heartbeat. Your last stride happens the way good endings do, inside a sentence you barely notice starting. There's no lunge, no chase, no sudden teeth. There is only a long exhale, a small surrender of weight, a sleep that keeps going. Muscles loosen. The old fight unclenches its hand. Your sail settles like a folded flag. The river says yes and lifts your edge. Scavengers are gentle in their own practical way. Little mouths take what little mouths can. Small feet write quick stories around you. A juvenile croc noses your flank, decides you are no longer a puzzle worth solving, and drifts back to more opinionated water. The current patient as always convinces you to slide a hand width, then two, then three toward the quiet, under the bank where silt falls like slow rain. Dense bones help here. The same ballast that let you ride storms now invites the bottom to keep you. Soft parts join the river's gossip. Hard parts begin a different conversation. Time does its favorite trick. It stops meaning what your body used it for. Silt gathers, presses, cures. Pores in bone drink minerals that match the iron in your old blood. Hollows fill with stone that remembers more faithfully than any muscle. The reed bed above you moves through 100 haircuts. Floods practice their signatures. Fires sign their names in charcoal. Your shape becomes less you and more idea of you, then more rock of you. The river forgets your bar and moves its attention elsewhere. The forest leans and rights itself a dozen times. The basin lifts very slowly the way a sleeping thing changes position. Water leaves, wind enrolls. The ground that rehearsed you with crocodiles learns dunes instead. One day far past what days were to you, your old channel is a cliff lip over a dry breath called desert. Sand speaks in ripples. Heat draws skylines that are lies. Feet arrive that don't belong to any animal you knew. Their owners carry light in their hands and tools that nibble stone smarter than beetles ever could. They whisper over rocks with a reverence that would have made the crocodile snort. They touch a ridge of mineral that used to be vertebra and say words no swamp taught you. Chem Baharia, sailtail semi-aquatic isotope density. They write in notebooks while the wind tries to chew the paper. A piece of you sails away in a crate. It crosses water that is salt forever and arrives in rooms colder than any river. More feet, more lights, more voices. Some of your first bones collected long ago by a man you never met were lost to a night of bombs, their memory a negative image that still argues in other people's throats. New bones answer old gaps. New gaps hatch new arguments. If paleontology had a comment section, it would live under your name. They draw you again and again. In one sketch, you stroll like a classic land king, tail a lazy metronome, sail a billboard for bad decisions. In another, you wade like a heron that learned to bench press tail tall and finned the river, making room whether it likes you or not. Some give you legs too short. Others give you more swagger than your balance deserved. A few paint you like an alligator cosplaying a sailboat. You are every version and none. The debates are a kind of affection. They argue about your sail radiator or display or a stubborn family heirloom that stuck because it was beautiful. They argue about your diet fish first or fish plus whatever didn't move fast enough. They argue about where you spent your hours in water because your bones say so. On land because your cousins did. Between because that's how your scars read. They hold your tail to the light and measure the shadow. They grind tiny shavings and taste ancient chemistry with machines. The numbers murmur of river and mud. Your oddities become evidence. Your evidence becomes personality. Modern aside, you are the thread that never stops rerouting the forum. Someone posts a new paper. Someone else posts a new meme. The rest start their sentences with, "Actually," you'd roll your eyes if you had kept them. Secretly, you're flattered. The swamp never clapped. This will do. Meanwhile, out where you were water and then wind, night still comes soft. A thin moon hangs like a fish scale caught on heaven's net. Sand cools to the temperature of old thoughts. A fox steps lightly over the ground that once held your pool and listens to nothing in particular. The river is gone here, but somewhere far away, another river says your name to a different bank in a dialect of silt. What remains of you stone that remembers heat shapes that remember motion sits in a case with a label that can't choose between certainty and wonder. Faces lean near the glass. Small hands press against it and fog their own reflections. Someone whispers Spinosaurus as if saying it softly makes it more real. You are more real than a name and less real than an argument. That is the correct size of ghosts. You might think legacy is a statue. Yours is weirder. It's the way the air over a museum bench feels cooler because someone is thinking very hard. It's the heat in an email that begins. We reran the analysis. It's a child drawing you with crayons in colors the Delta never owned. It's an old riverbed teaching a new dune how to curve. Back in your last afternoon because stories are allowed to loop, you are still on warm, silt eyes, half-closed sail humming its small approving note. Water threads your toes. Light fits itself around your ribs. Wind smells like fern and not quite rain. You take the next breath. You do not need the one after. And the world in a kindness the swamp rarely practiced lowers its voice. The reeds sway without warning anything. The insects choose a softer key. The sky keeps its promises without thunder. The river who has always been honest writes a final line across the sand, where your tail drew its spiral and lets the sentence fade. Sleep now? The banks will argue for you. The stones will remember. The wind will translate. And somewhere when the lights are low, someone will close their eyes to your odd, beautiful name and feel the cool of water and the warmth of sun and the long, gentle weight of being between two worlds.